guest for today, Mr. Ricardo Rodriguez.
Hello, how's it going? I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
We're so happy having you here.
Thank you.
You're here in Egypt for almost a year now, so...
Yeah, it's incredible.
I have to ask, like, did you apply for the Egyptian citizenship or not yet?
Not yet. I'm still working on that. Actually, I wouldn't mind if the time came to actually do that. I wouldn't mind coming to Egypt and being a full resident eventually.
Yeah, but you will have to stay like 15 years. We're just
Sure.
waiting, just not 1 year. You say in America it takes only 5 years, right?
Oh no, America to get your citizenship takes like 15, 20 sometimes.
15, 20?
Sometimes, yeah, depending where you're coming from.
Okay, but seriously, like you're staying here in Egypt, like far away from your friends and family for a year. So how difficult you find this is to be here in Egypt for all this long, different content, different...
It has been an adventure for sure. Being away from home, like I said, I came to Egypt last November of 2020, and it is now August. So it's been almost 9 months, and it's been an adventure for sure. You get homesick, of course, but because of technology, you're still able to talk to your family, your friends, your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, your FaceTime. So that kind of helps out a little bit. And also, I mean, the people here have been very friendly and have been amazing, and then have helped me out throughout this whole time. So I don't feel so homesick.
Okay, nice. So you are here building the wrestling scene in Egypt. Today you are training in the BW Academy. This is the first Egyptian wrestling academy here in Egypt. So how hard it is to like build the wrestling scene from the scratch? What the challenges you find?
It's always a challenge. It's always a challenge. This is not the first time that I've done this, but it's always a challenge, especially here when it comes to the language barrier. I'm still trying to learn Arabic. I'm thankful that a lot of the students here speak English, so that helps a lot. And it's also just a different form of life of living from the U.S., from Mexico, from other places that I've been to. So adjusting to how the lifestyle is here has been not necessarily a challenge, but it has been an obstacle in a way, but not necessarily in a hard way. It's just adjusting to a different lifestyle. But I'm thankful that for everybody that's been here, that have been putting in the effort, that have worked hard, and I know that given time and work and effort, and if everybody puts in the effort, I know we can build something big and massive here in Egypt, because there's such a big market to be built in this area, and it's an area that hasn't been touched in many years. So that's what we're hoping to do.
Okay. So I heard you a lot in interviews and actually in your social media. You always compare the wrestling scene here in Egypt and to the Indian wrestling scene, because you were the first trainer to be in India, and now actually WWE went there and did great stuff and signed wrestlers. So what do you think, what's going to happen here? Are we comparing there to here? Are we going to do the same thing?
To say that it's a comparison, that I'm comparing both of them is not fair, because it was different over there, and this is we're still working on this, and no two places are ever going to be the same. India will never be like Mexico. Mexico will never be like the U.S. The U.S. will never be like Japan. So these are different regions. These are different areas. So and each area is different. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to understand how this area works, because this area is very different than India. So it's not fair to compare the both. What I am proud of, what we built in India, was in the time that I was there, we were able to create an academy. It was the very first academy in India, a proper academy in India. Now there is an independent scene, and there are companies all over India, and they're running, unfortunately because of COVID, not right now, but before COVID there was a lot of independent companies that were running. WWE and Impact went after India once I was done there, and they actually recruited several students, some of which you can see on Raw, some of which you can see who were on the Mae Young Classic, one of which is currently in NXT, and there's a couple of training already in NXT UK. What I would like to do is something similar here, where eventually the WWE will become interested in coming back to Egypt, because I believe the last time they came was like 2012 or 13 or something. And so it's been many years, almost 10 years since WWE has been here. So I would like for this to grow here in Cairo, Egypt, And then, so that they will spark an interest in coming back here, as well as, say, Impact or even AEW. There's also such a big market here in Cairo when it comes to the Arabic nations, because Cairo is a central station for all the Arabic nations when it comes to media. So yeah, and then there, like I said, to compare them is not the same, but there's so much to be done here in Cairo. There's so much to be done here in these Arabic nations, and I know that this is something that I want to build here, and that's why I'm so stubborn, and I'm still here, because I know that there's so much to be done here.
Yes, okay. So I want to ask you this, since you went to WWE, and since WWE now actually tend to sign international students, like what they did in India lately, what do you think it takes to a wrestler, for an international wrestler, for WWE to sign them? What they are looking for from them?
There's not one specific thing. There's so many different ways to get signed, not just internationally, but also in the U.S. There's so many different things. It's just at the moment what they want, what they need. Obviously, if they want to build something here in the Arabic nations, they're going to come looking for an authentic, either Egyptian or like what they did with Mansoor, Saudi Arabia. He's representing that area, that region. So he's perfect for that. So he just happens to fit that mold of what they want. It's something similar here as well. If they ever want to come back here, they're going to look for somebody that's from here, because now it's representation. Same thing with when Jinder Mahal became champion. He was perfect for that role because they were building something in India. So he was perfect for that moment. Same with Great Khali, same with myself and Alberto. We were representing Latin America. So we were perfect for what they needed at the time. And eventually, obviously, our work kind of is what kept us there. Unfortunately, as time went on, we went our separate ways. However, during that time, we have to work harder. We have to be determined. We have to put in the effort. It's the same thing that I keep telling the students here at the academy. It's work, 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 work. Nobody's going to go and say, here, have this. We have to work for what we want. And it's always being prepared. It's always being prepared, because you never know when the opportunity is going to come. Whenever the opportunity does show up, we have to make sure that we're ready. And that's how you get your chances. When the opportunity presents itself, be ready. So to say exactly what it is that they're looking for, I don't know, because it changes all the time. It changes all the time, and it's just what they want at the time.
Okay, so tell us about your case. You went to WWE, how it came? Do you know somebody there? Did you went to try out? How did you get there to WWE?
I did a tryout in August 10th of 2010. I did a wrestling tryout, but at the time they were looking for somebody to do this ring announcing deal for a debut that's going to be happening the next day for this guy named Alberto Del Rio. They had asked another guy if he wanted to do it, but for some reason he said he couldn't do it, for some reason. So then they asked me, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then it just went from there. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, it was supposed to be a debut, and then that was it. But Vince McMahon liked it a lot, and then he just kept me around, and I was there for 4.5 years, roughly. But it was, like I said, I mean, I had never done ring announcing before. I've never done it before, and then I just lied my way through it. And then eventually when the time came to actually do it, I mean, we have this saying, it's called fake it till you make it. So I faked it the whole time until I finally got it. But it was just a matter of being prepared. Once I found out what my assignment was, I went home and I studied like crazy how to re-announce, how to do this, especially if they wanted like a Latino style. I would look at the soccer or football commentators from Latin America, or like the Spanish announcers from AAA, CMLL, just how they were loud and just animated. So this is what I was studying. I was just studying religiously, and just so I got an idea of what to do. And then you will always subconsciously add your little twist to it. You will always add your little flavor to it. And that's kind of how the whole thing came about. But I mean, like I said, at the time, it was just what they were looking for. I went for a wrestling tryout, but they were looking for an announcer, and I just happened to be there, and I happened to do it. So that's how I got in. And because of that, I got to travel the world. I got to do so many things. I got to see so many sites that I never in my million years that I ever expected that I could do. And because of that, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. So you actually went in WWE as an announcer, but you also ended up as a wrestler there. You took the shot as a wrestler. I think you were in a team, right?
Yeah. Well, I was with the Mask, but it was more so just because they knew what I could do in the ring. It was more so to help out the younger guys because my main role was Ricardo. That was my main role. The other character with the mask, that was just like a secondary. Hey, we kind of need help, you know, help us out with these guys who are coming up from NXT. Or if somebody was coming back from injury, just to kind of slowly get him back into rhythm, they would put me in there with them because they trusted me to keep them safe. So looking back, that's a really good spot to be in because that means that they trust you. And that's a really good spot to be in because you have longevity, which is great. But that's kind of how I got into it when it comes to like the wrestling WWE is they just needed help with certain folks and they needed help with people that were coming back from injury to keep them safe and get them back into rhythm of things. But like I said, everybody has a different story. There's so many different stories of how people get in there, but we're all there because of wrestling. So that's the beautiful thing about it.
Sure. So for now, you're based in this phase in your life. Now you're like passing the torch to the new guys all around the world, not only here in Egypt. You went to India, you went to Spain, I think, many other places. You do seminars. So how is this compared to being in the spotlight as a wrestler or as an announcer? Is it harder or is it easier? Or is it more fun or not more fun? How do you describe it?
Well, I'm 35 now. I'm still young enough, but we all know how sports are. When it comes to sports, once you get to like your late 30s, like you start to slow down a little bit. I've been doing this for 15 years actually. 13 years, 15 years. Yeah, I'm beat up. I'm hurt. I wake up sometimes in pain, but because of everything that I've had to experience in my life when it comes to wrestling and where I've been, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for everywhere that I've been to, you know, all the countries. I lost track of how many countries I've been to. But because of that, I'm grateful that I can pass on my long knowledge, what I've learned to the younger generation. Hopefully, that'll help them become whatever they want to become as far as wrestling goes. The nice thing about the situation that I did in India, what I did here, is that there's no wrestling here outside of what we're doing right now. So folks that come in have the ability to hopefully make their dream come true. Something that they never thought in their minds that they could ever accomplish, and that's, you know, be in the wrestling ring, become a professional wrestler, and eventually get on social media and get known. Because what I want at the end of the day, and I've said this so many times, is I want the Egyptian flag to be planted into the world of professional wrestling, and that's what I want to build.
Nice. Okay, so speaking in Egypt, you always refer to yourself on Twitter, I think, to a history nerd. So you love history. So how is it like here in Egypt, being in a country that is actually 7,000 years old? Like we have streets here and older in America, right? So you went to places here, historical places. What places did you enjoy?
I mean, obviously the pyramids. Yeah, that's number one. The pyramids. I live in Giza, which is like 2 kilometers, and my flat is about 2 kilometers from the pyramids. So like when I go on my walks in the morning or in the afternoons, I can see the pyramids, and that to me is awesome. Because like I said, this is something that I never in my life thought I was going to do. I never thought a kid from where I grew up to get out of there and then be where I am now, and to see the freaking pyramids right there. That to me is awesome. There's a beautiful energy that comes out of them, and that to me is very surreal. Seeing the Sphinx, and then going to the Saqqara pyramid as well. Going to the museum, going to the Muhammad Ali castle, even just walking around by the Nile River, that to me is amazing because of the history that's on that river. And all the cities are alongside the river. It's so amazing. Seeing King Tutankhamun's his stuff at the museum was amazing.
Golden Mask?
The Golden Mask, everything was amazing. It's very surreal. Seeing the mummies, to me, it's very good. And I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity to be able to come here and see all of that. Because, like I said, I never thought that I was ever going to do this. So I'm very proud of it.
Okay. Actually, surprisingly, you know some Egyptian words, right? So I think it's fair enough to tell our audience the Egyptian words, the good ones, don't say the bad ones, you know.
Well, I mean, anywhere that I go, I always ask for the bad ones first. That's always the fun part. Okay, that's always the fun part. And I always teach them the bad words in Spanish too, for the most part. No, I mean, obviously, like shukran and my water, because that's essential. Especially right now that it's hot, as you can see that we're all sweating. And there's air conditioning right now, we have to turn it off because of the sound. So after this, we're going to drink a lot of Maya. And I asked if, so I'm sorry, I have to say that a lot. And I asked if I'm American. So a lot of that.
Okay,
Yeah, obviously like Yamin, Ishmael, sorry, Alatun.
What? Latul? What that?
I mean, I was always told I was straight.
Alatul, yeah,
straight.
okay.
Straight.
Okay.
Straight. But that's about it.
Yeah, and you actually enjoy our transportation, right?
Yeah, I've been on the tuk-tuks a couple times.
Tuk-tuk, right?
Yeah, I've been on those a few times. The Uber, which is great here because it's a lot cheaper than in the US. But getting used to the traffic here, how everybody just does this a lot when you're driving is scary at first, but you get used to it after a while.
Yeah, you told me before it's similar sometimes to Mexico, right?
Similar to Mexico City, similar to India.
But we're way worse, right?
Oh yeah, you guys are way worse.
And driving.
And you can see it in the cars, in the bumpers, in the cars, all the scratches.
Yeah, sure.
But no, it's an adventure, and I'm very thankful that I'm here. So
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that I'm here.
We're so happy having you here, training us in the WWO Academy, and I'm so glad having you here at the show. I hope I did good.
You did great.
Okay.
It's first time.
Yes. Okay,